this is going to be a different video because I'm going to be talking about something that I'm very passionate about, a game that has continuously impressed me, both with its complexity, its replayability, and its quality. I've heard people talk about this before, I've seen some other reviews, and I find all of them come up short in virtually every single way, for 2, maybe 3 reasons. The first, I don't find enough easy tutorials to understand the game. There's one video I think I watched initially. It was so confusing I could not figure out the game. The second was better, but the problem is there's so many different things to learn in the game that it kind of throws everything at you, and it doesn't give you a constructive means to really go about learning the game, right? Most people, they learn how to do something and then they get better at it with practice. And if you have a lot of things you need to do, you need a list of things you need to check off, and in the middle, in between those checkboxes, you're going to find that there are efficiencies or faster ways to do your list, basically by doing something in between a step or finding a way to do multiple steps at once. That's essentially how this game works, and that's not something I've heard people talk about. So without further ado, let's get right into talking about this marvelous game called Merchants of the Dark Road. I want to first off say that I am not reviewing this without prior experience. I have played this game probably 7 times, maybe 6 or 7 times now, and I've played with every single player count. I've played with 3 players, 4 players, and 2 players. I just haven't really dabbled in the single player, but I've read enough of the instructions to understand that the game is absolutely playable alone. I just find that the game, just at its core, I think benefits so much more from playing with other players, because I think that's half the fun, is really getting to see the excitement of your friends and family playing the game and seeing how they're working out, how they can try to beat you, or at the very end of the game, they just barely get ahead and you're just wondering what happened. I will say that I have played a few times now with some of my family. One of my brothers in particular is really good at the game, and he has won consistently every time I've played, which prompted me to modify the game. So first and foremost, let's talk about the unmodified, okay? I'm going to give you some details. I'm going to put up screenshots of the game and how I feel that the game benefits greatly from modifications, but let's briefly go over what I feel the game is good at and what it's bad at in its unmodified form, okay? First and foremost, the game is unbalanced. Let's just be real here. Anyone who's played this game more than once will tell you that some of the steeds, they are horrible. And I'll put a screenshot here. You can see that essentially the ones on the top are much better than the ones on the bottom. And actually, I will reorganize this picture when I show the modified, because I actually modified Sugarfoot as well. I found that he just wasn't a good enough steed compared to Velvet, Whisper, and Brembazon. Those were so much better than Long Shadow, Lovebug, and Woolsworth. In fact, I lost every single time I ever had Long Shadow, Lovebug, or Woolsworth. When I played against my bro, he always got 1 or more of the top 3, and he always won. And I will go into more details on this, but if you've played, or if you haven't, let me just give you a little recap here, just in case. Those steeds give you amazing benefits throughout the game. One of them discounts the bazaar. One of them allows you to always add +1 to your travel die, so you get much better perks whenever you're traveling with or without other people. The Velvet allows you to get unlimited wagon upgrades, which is mind-blowingly good because all of the upgrades for your wagon are fantastic. And then, of course, I could briefly talk about Sugarfoot. Sugarfoot's pretty good, but he's so niche. He's, like, I don't find myself needing to move exactly 3 spaces enough, and only holding the equivalent of a book is just not enticing enough. I don't even know if I really need to go into the other 3, but I'll just touch on them right now. Long Shadow, Lovebug, Woolsworth. Not enough power and not enough viability during the game. If you found that you're really good with any of them, kudos to you, but I have not found any of my siblings or my friends or myself ever finding that we're really good with them. They're just too niche. It's like that one time, maybe twice in a game, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I had this steed. Everyone else using the above are way, way better off. Now, I also want to talk about the starter heroes, okay? The starter heroes, totally unbalanced. Whenever I played, there were about I think 3 of them that were good. The top ones here, Mary, Sculla, and Olvero. All much better. You can get a lantern, a deed, or a burning, what is it, a crystal quartz, like a flaming quartz or whatever. That is way better as a starting resource than 2 gold, 2 prestige, or an item worth 2. And I don't even want to go into this too long, because I think it goes without saying that is just nothing in the grand scheme of things. In particular, Gisberta. I've gotten Gisberta like twice in my playthroughs, and every single time I lost because the other people had such a head start. Getting an extra deed, fantastic, and it sets the tone for a lot of your gameplay. Getting an extra crystal allows you to use a companion from like turn 1 when you get a companion going on traveling. Way better. Getting a lantern is already amazing because there are several things you can do in the game that gives you lanterns by just like getting a companion. Getting a hero and going traveling. There are many times where I've seen people get a hero. Now they're on 2. They're like 1 away. And sometimes we could use a building, which allows us to get some different things, and we can trade it off or get an extra hero, and sometimes that hero gives you an extra lantern, and now you're at 3. Right? There's different ways to work around it. The bottom ones are just too niche. I didn't find that it was worth it. Plus, anytime you go to Northbreak or Scorchborn, you only get some gold for delivering them, versus you deliver Night Poem, Farglin, Curse Cairn. All of the other colors are way better when you deliver a hero. I'm going to go into also the deeds very briefly here. I want to go as fast as I can through this for you. If you look here, these deeds are worthless compared to the other ones. It is simply not worth it to do these. 3 prestige to have no wagon upgrades. That is just bonkers to me. It makes no sense. This I modified that, of course. I'm going to show you the modified ones on all of the above, by the way. The other one, any combination for having lanterns in your wagon. This is ridiculous. Anyone who still has lanterns in their wagon is wasting their time. You should be using those to get Illuminate die, to get extra things from going traveling and getting those amazing double good fortunes. And then you've got this one where it says deliver 12 plus of heroes plus commissions. So it's essentially like any combination if it means you deliver 12 plus of them. So you could have like 6 heroes, 6 commissions. It's only 2 victory points. It's so lackluster. It's ridiculous. And then you've got these other ones like delivering commission instead of 3 for 2 victory points. Look, I don't need to be the one to tell you how to play the game, okay? But I will tell you that if you're getting these, it makes so little difference because like the one with the 2 VP for Curse Cairn, Night Poem, and Windglass, that's actually not bad. But the other one is so ridiculous because half the time when you get these commissions, you have to choose them to try to fulfill the deed, but the reward ratio is just off in many cases. Like, okay, cool, you're going to choose a commission for Northbreak and Scorchborn, but those heroes only give you some gold. Maybe you don't need gold. Well, maybe you get lucky and get the deed for the Night Poem, the Windglass, and Curse Cairn, but you're only getting 2 VP, and sometimes the amount of items they need for these are just not, they don't make any sense. And then sometimes you simply don't find yourself benefiting from getting heroes and the deeds that make sense. Like sometimes you want a commission, right? You're gonna get a commission and you're trying to fulfill, and it just doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna show you some of my modified rules a bit later, but let's talk about something else in the game, just to give you an idea of why I like this game. Okay, I've kind of delved into why I feel the game is imbalanced, but I'm going to talk about some things that make the game really good, okay? I just wanted to set the tone for that because I really feel like people are just hyping up the game and not really telling anybody why the game needs some tweaks here or there. They're just saying, oh, it's such an amazing game, it's so collectible, it's so fun, and you see these people playing, and then you get into it, and your first playthrough is hours long because no one cared to tell you, like, how to get around some of these ideas, how to structure your game. And I just don't like that. I don't like that. I want to be honest, and I want to make sure that you understand what this game actually is, because there's a lot to it, and it's a pricey game. It's not the cheapest thing. It's actually gone down in price, I think, since like Christmas or something, but I want to talk about this real quick here. The game has a lot of components on it. The board is just filled with items, cards, dice, these deeds, locations. It's all kind of a big puzzle piece, which is cool, and the bazaar is really neat with its magnetic board. But if you look around outside, you can quickly see that you have items, you have companions at the top, and the picture here doesn't even reflect the extra tokens and things. You have a lot of items I put all into bags eventually, and I'll show a screenshot here. As you can see, there's just a lot of components. So you have to kind of keep track of them all. I found that just using some sandwich bags was really helpful to keep track of them and separate them. I have eventually condensed some of it down differently, but this is kind of how some of them came, or how they had with their little organized bags. That was nice. The game actually comes with that. Now, let's go into something here about the wagons. Wagons are really cool looking. You put items inside of them, and it's kind of like a video game layout where you have to keep your inventory structured in a way that allows you to maximize how many items you can hold. It's not like you get a set number. It's more like, does this square fit inside this giant square in this grid pattern? That's kind of how you have it. You have 4 slots for your lanterns, 3 for either the crystals and or the horseshoes, which are great because they let you go backwards or forward 1 step when you use them in conjunction with one of your die. You have the dice slots, which were very confusing because for the longest time I thought you could just choose to get an unlimited die if you used your second slot. No, that just means if you use the second slot, it allows you to activate an illuminate die. The only way to get an illuminate die is from traveling or like one other thing. I think it's like a building or something. And then you can see you've got your extra die below as you rolled, and I do wish there was a bit of a lock slot on those, just so that they didn't, occasionally didn't fall over if you accidentally hit them, but it's not that big a deal. Usually we don't have a problem. Then you keep a little blinder with the money behind it, so you keep track of that. And of course, you got your starter hero, and you got your steed, and you got a D or whatever. This is just kind of an overview of what you might have. Honestly, it's a lot to keep track of, but it's very straightforward once you learn how to do this. Plus, you've got your little crafting guide in the middle of the wagon there, which keeps it easy, so you can kind of make items as you go. I really like that. The good about this game is that there's so much to do and so many different ways to win that it still feels fresh. I will say that if you haven't played the game, let me just give you a rundown real quick. The game requires that as you're playing it, you're basically going around in the middle, right? There's a track in the middle of the game that basically goes past the Great Bazaar, the Queen's Commissions, the Yerg's Excursions, the Dark Market, and the Ringway Inn, and you just keep going around. And it's a space of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's basically your movement. And when you're adjacent to some of these, you also have a building that's adjacent. So if you decided to use an illuminate die, you just get that for free. You don't have to use your illuminate die to activate the building next to wherever you're going. You can just use the illuminate die in addition to whatever your other dice is. You could go to the Great Bazaar, the Queen's Commissions, and you could actually use like the Blazing Quartz mine for free because you just used the illuminate die. I don't feel like it's really explained very well. It's very subtle in the instructions, but you should know that. You get a lot of activity when you get an illuminate die. It is something you should pay attention to in the instructions, that you will not always have those turns, because the game will take twice as long as if you constantly had to use an illuminate die to get a lot more stuff. Now, I also want to talk about something very important in this game, and that is the fact that when you are playing, you will quickly understand that you can't do one thing and win. You have to do both things to win. It's just how you approach getting those 2 things is how you can kind of change up your play style. Let's talk about how to win. You get prestige and you get money. Both of them have to be worked on in this game because the lesser of the 2 totals is going to be your base score. Once you got your base score, then you're going to add any modifiers that include victory points. VP are better than prestige or money because VP applies after you've calculated your base score. So if I have 20 gold, but I only have 10 prestige, I would then have 10 points at the end of the game because that's my base score, the lower of the 2. Then maybe I have like 2 VP. So my end total for the game is 12. You can see how this is a problem if you're thinking you're just going to be the richest person, but you didn't work on getting prestige. Doesn't matter. You need at least, like 20 and maybe 22. So trying to get them as close as you can at the end of the game so that you can maximize your score, so that the lower of the 2 becomes your base score. Now, the reason a lot of people, I think, are confused about this a little bit is it's counterintuitive when you first start. The idea that you can't win by focusing on one item or one acquisition, but you have to do both. This means the game takes on a certain amount of calculated risk and reward ratios that I find is very entertaining, but also a bit daunting. Like, if you can't really play this game with anyone who's not, like, at least a tween. Like, 11, 12 is the minimum for this game. There's no way ever you would be able to play this with a kid. This is absolutely a teenage plus game. Adults greatly benefit in this game, because if you can calculate a little bit, you can kind of work out a strategy, you benefit greatly. Now, let's talk about where I find the fun in the game comes from, and then we'll go into some modifiers that make the game even more fun, okay? First and foremost, the game is super fun because you have all of these different things you can do to try to make money and gain prestige before time runs out in the game. So it's a race against the clock, and you're competing against other players or a player to try to be the wealthiest and most prestigious merchant in the land. What's really awesome about the game is that it gives you multiple ways of going about this, some of which are lesser used, I find, but are still so nice to have available. For example, when you go to the Ringway Inn, this is where you're going to trade items, basically sell items to the heroes. And you can sell up to 3 to each of them. Basically one at a time. I didn't know this when I first started, so pay attention to that. You can only sell items to one hero per usage of the Ringway Inn. So you'd have to basically wait another turn before you could try to use the Ringway Inn again to get another hero. So you could sell, for example, to one of the heroes and sell a book, a gun, and a wand. And then you'd immediately get access to whatever that bonus was for that hero. It could be storage space, it could be a lantern, it could be a blazing quartz, and that would give you the hero in addition to whatever they're giving you. Now you need to deliver that hero to one of the destinations. It could be like Night Poem, for example. Well, on your way there, you may want to grab a Queen's Commission, because the Queen's Commission requires you bring some items with you to fulfill that order, essentially. It's like a shopping list that was given to you by one of these outlying towns. Bring the commission and the hero to that same place. Now you're double dipping. Now you're getting the rewards for delivering a hero, and you're going to be able to fulfill the commission, which can give you up to 6 prestige if you brought all 3 of the items. If you brought 1, it's 1 point. If you brought 2 of the items, it's 3 prestige points, and if you brought 6, it's 3. All 3 of them, then you get 6. Now, what you might be wondering then is, okay, well, that seems straightforward. What's the catch? Well, the main issue is you can only do so many things per turn. If you don't have an Illuminate die, which is one of those yellow ones, you can only use your regular night die basically once, and then that's the end of your turn. So you have to choose in what order and how you're going to do this. So you could go to the inn first, then on your next turn you stop and grab a commission, or you could just go straight to your excursions, deliver the hero, and go traveling. Traveling is fundamentally one of the most key parts of this game, because you need to deliver heroes and commissions, but you also need to get Illuminate die and wagon upgrades, and or some of the other things that come with going there. But you don't even have to go there too. You can also just go to the Ruins of Yin, which allows you to use the marker. Essentially, when you go there, it moves the marker up once with this little treasure map, which allows you to gain access to upgraded goods. Alternatively, you can gain upgraded goods by using the buildings on occasion. You also can gain upgraded goods from basically going to what you call the going on the shortcuts. When you go to the shortcuts in a lot of cases will give you access to an upgraded good just by getting a good travel die roll. And that's really powerful, because when you do this, it will allow you to then take the upgraded good and either gain an extra prestige by delivering that good as part of a commission to one of the outlying towns, or you can sell the item to a hero. Personally, I find it is way more beneficial to sell the item, the upgraded good, to a hero, because they will give you an extra gold on top of its current market cost, according to what's shown on the bazaar, and they will give you a blazing quartz, which is super useful because you can use that to activate companion abilities. Speaking of companions, you get 1 free companion every single time that you go traveling to one of go traveling to one of the outlying towns. So, also, one thing I would want to, I would be remiss to report is there are such a big division between the 2 different ways to gain items to sell and to fulfill for commissions. The dark market is arguably better because if you go, you get 2 items for the price of 1 in many cases of different kinds. Like, for example, if you were to go to the dark market and a potion and a loot is directly next to the bag on the dark market where the marker's showing where it's currently at, you pay 1 gold, you move the marker 1, now you've just gained 2 items. And if you're lucky, you could pay like 1 or 2 gold, and now you've just moved the bag to gain a commission for free or a deed. Generally speaking, the deed is better off because when you gain a deed, you get bonuses by grabbing deeds, which can include 2 prestige or an item of your choice and a horseshoe. Or you could take from the stack, but no one really does that. Now, in summary, when you gain the heroes, the items, the commissions, and you take those and you deliver them, you sell to the heroes, so you gain more gold for the end of the game, and you're constantly using your abilities and going around the board, planning out your route. Once you've done all of this, at the end of the game, you're going to basically have one free turn, which is really cool. You got one free turn to basically just deliver your, go to one location to deliver any commissions and heroes that need to go to that particular location at the end of the game. You don't get to do anything else. It's just like that final free delivery, just to kind of help the game a little bit in case you were on the, bad end of a dice roll for those final turns. Now, at the end of the game, it's very fun to be able to look at your deeds and to look at all of the number of people you delivered, basically called your book of business when you flip them over and just keep them in your play area. Very fun. I really like that. I really like how much fun and expectation there is around this game. Now, I want to talk about how I feel the game has been drastically improved with some very slight modifications that I have done. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about the heroes, the starter heroes. What I've done is very simple. I have basically just made it so that all of the starter heroes give you a roll of the Oracle die. Okay, hear me out. When you start the game and you take one of your starter heroes, no matter who it was, what faction they are, let's just talk about Olvero, for example, right? You take Olvero, he normally gives you something that's just okay, all right? Like, I think for Olvero, he gives you a quartz, okay? He's one of the better starter heroes. But like Gisberta just gives you 2 gold, or Elif, she just gives you 2 prestige. It's not very good. It's a very poor start overall compared to the other ones. Now, if every single starter hero gives you a roll of the Oracle die, you do have the potential to still get 2 gold or 2 prestige. But now you also have a chance to get other things, like an Illuminate die. You have a chance to get Blazing Quartz. You have a chance to get multiple things. So it feels more fair when you just chose a hero from the deck and don't feel like you just got shorted. Right? You're starting the game on even footing. It was a luck of the draw, but it was still a dice roll. Very, very fun. I'll show a picture. I think I've shown a picture here, and you can see I just drew something just to show you what it would look like, but you could absolutely print out the icon online and just cut it out and paste it on there. I'm just lazy. I didn't do that, but you can do that very easily. Just an Illuminate dice roll, whatever, right? I'm not an artist like that. My family's a lot better at that than I am. Now, let's talk about the steeds, all right? We've already seen how poorly, like, four out of the 7 steeds, the base steeds, are in the game. I despise them. Let's talk about my changes. Love Bug, okay? Normally, Love Bug is not very good. Love Bug says when you visit Yurg's excursions to travel to an outlying town, you gain 1 lantern from the supply. Great. That's useless in most cases, because if 1 lantern is the equivalent of you just going to a hero and selling something to them, and they just give you a lantern. It's not that good, because when you go to Yurg's excursions and you go to an outlying town, you're doing this anyway, but it just doesn't add up fast enough. Like, okay, cool, I get a lantern, but the other dude's getting 2 gold off of every purchase in the market, right? It doesn't make sense. So what I've done is, when you travel, you gain 2 lanterns. When you join a caravan, you gain 1 lantern. That's my change. Very straightforward. If you're the one leading the caravan, you get 2 lanterns. And then if you're joining a caravan, you get a lantern. This gives you a definitive boost in the game, because it is directly proportional to your ability to travel. But it's not too overpowered, because, well, you can't keep going and traveling. Like, you're not going to get what you need at the end of the day. Like, you could try to get gold over and over again, right? You could do that. And you could gain lanterns, and you could try to keep going on those excursions. You can do that, and you could try to keep maximizing it by gaining the lanterns, but you'd have to do at least 2 travels to get the 3 lanterns, or maximize your 4. But the point is, it doesn't give you such an advantage that it's too much, but it seems so much more balanced for Love Bug. All right, you give it a whirl. I really like it. Now, long shadow, pretty good, just not great. And this is where I just added one word. Okay, long shadow. When you use an illuminated die, you may choose any one of the 4 buildings to activate. That is nice, but it's not great because it's like, okay, cool. I get to choose to activate a building in any location, but I was already going to activate a building anyway. It just doesn't feel powerful enough to warrant getting long shadow over any of the other ones I've already mentioned that are really good. So what I've done is I've just said, look, in addition to the adjacent building that you were already going to activate anyway, you get to activate one more. This is very strong, very good, and it is something that could be used a few times in the game when you get illuminate dice, and it's just so much better. It's so much better. It feels so much more balanced when you continually play with people who have the other horses. Now it feels like, okay, I actually have a legitimate choice to make, like what I want in the game. Sugarfoot. Sugarfoot is, how do I put this? Is just mediocre. It's just mediocre. When you move your wagon, you may move exactly 3 spaces regardless of your dice values. That's just not strong enough. Like, if I could choose to move 3 to 5 on a whim, Sugarfoot would be totally overpowered in the game because it can also hold an item. But what I've done is I've balanced Sugarfoot by just changing it up. When using a horseshoe, upgrade any one good you have. This is by far one of the best changes into these mounts. Okay? This horse now allows you, every time you use a horseshoe, to upgrade any one good you have. It's not super overpowered, but it does something so niche that it also makes it possible to have a varied playstyle. And it holds an item for you. Amazing, okay? Love that. Give that a whirl. I think that's a huge improvement for Sugarfoot. Also, Woolsworth. Let's talk about that one. Normally, Woolsworth is like the least desirable of all of these steeds, okay? When you deliver a commission, you also gain 1 quartz for each upgraded good. This is just not good enough because I find that unless you have the wagon upgrade and you have some access to the what do you call it? The area where you get the items, the Ruins of Yin. If you're not going to the Ruins of Yin, which really you shouldn't be, it's a great area occasionally, but it's barely worth it half the time. I find that I'm just not using Woolsworth. In fact, I played an entire game and I think I used once. Used the steed 1 time in the entire game when I had Woolsworth, and it was pointless. I'm like, oh great, I got 1 quartz and I delivered an upgraded good for a commission. But again, I don't even like doing that because normally you get that anyway when you give it to one of the heroes, and they give you an extra gold. It's just better to give it to the heroes usually. Then you also get the hero. You get nothing. You don't get that hero when you deliver a commission. So Woolsworth just loses out huge. What I've done is I've changed Woolsworth's abilities. Whenever you travel or join a caravan, you gain 1 quartz. That is so much more useful in the game because you're going to be generating. In fact, I had my little bro who was playing. He got Woolsworth. He was using that constantly. He was able to maximize all of his companions. And you know what? He still lost the game because he wasn't playing as well as he should have on some things. So again, it's not overwhelming. It's not like overwhelming power with these steeds. You have to still use them properly. But the point is, he was able to use Woolsworth effectively for a change. It was a competitive change for these steeds. All right. Those are my changes. Go nuts with them. I hope you have fun with it. Now let's talk about the changes I made to some of the deeds, which I find are just useless, okay? That one with 3 prestige, and then you have no wagon upgrades? No, that's worth 6. Okay, let's be real here for a second. If you don't take a single wagon upgrade the entire game, you deserve 6 prestige. I don't care who you're playing with. If you think not getting a wagon upgrade is only worth 3 prestige, you're insane. It is so easy to get 3 prestige in this game. So easy. Like, that's 2 items delivered on a commission. For you to not be able to get the one that upgrades items, for you to not get the wagon upgrade that gives you two steeds, no. If you choose to get this deed, you get 6 prestige. Okay, hands down. Now, the one that gives you 1 gold or 1 prestige per lantern in your wagon, like, come on, it's so pitiful. If you still have lanterns, you absolutely deserve to get more money or prestige per lantern in your wagon, because otherwise there's just no point to keeping them in there. Now it's competitive. Now you could have up to 8 gold or 8 prestige if you kept all 4 lanterns in your wagon. You didn't go on that shortcut. You didn't use that for those extra rolls. You kept it to try to fulfill. It was a handicap to your playstyle, but would pay off later. That makes sense, okay? And it changes the way it's played, and it changes the way you're going to be interacting on your travels. That's worth it. That one for deliver 12 plus of the heroes and/or the commissions, I've changed that one. I think it was way better. It was 2 victory points before. No, that is 6 victory points. If you are able to deliver that many, I'm gonna tell you right now, you are either one of the craziest players in the game, just going ham on delivering as many commissions and players as you can, ignoring everything else, just going straight for deliveries. If you do that, that is a viable strategy. It is playable, but it does have its disadvantages because you have to be able to keep up. You have to be able to do this well. It's really difficult to do that. If you do that, you get 6 victory points. Now, that one for delivering the set of 3 commissions, right? For those 2 other, it's not 2 VP, I put it as 3. It's 1 VP per area you deliver to. That's more balanced, it's more incentive, I think it's way better. It's a small change, but it's very meaningful. It means something at the end of that. That's a better change. I think that's much better. You can easily add that on just by printing something out or putting some, you know, a little labeler. You can use that. All right. Those are my changes. I'm actually going to be putting up another video as well where I review the expansion, the patrons provisions, and also I put card sleeves on all of my stuff. I will have links in the description for those, including the small ones, like the small hero cards. Those are so tiny. I have the perfect pack for you so that you can keep your heroes looking beautiful. I will put a link in the description for those as well. I also do have the expansion for the deluxe resources, which look amazing, by the way. The metal horseshoes, the metal lanterns, the amazing looking blazing quartz, which just are so cool to look at. And then also the premium resources like the premium bag on the board for the black market, and also the premium marker for the Ruins of Yin with that map. And then of course the solo chest, which is cool too. I will put a link to all of that where you can get it on Amazon. Use my links to support the channel if you enjoyed the video. Again, link to get all this, including the game, will be on Amazon. Will be in the description below. Like and subscribe for more reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you consider getting this game. I think you will thoroughly enjoy it. I love this game, and I hope I have helped make this maybe a more enjoyable experience. If you have the game and are looking to modify it and make it more enjoyable, or if you're on the fence about getting this, I hope this will give you some encouragement and some positive outlook and maybe some fair feedback on whether or not this game is for you. I think this game is really fun. It takes some time to play, and I think it's really worth your time. So I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. Thanks for watching.